The bass vibrates through the floorboards of the stadium in Berlin, a rhythmic thumping that mimics a heartbeat, amplified to a deafening roar. 80,000 people are screaming, their faces illuminated by the strobe lights cutting through the artificial fog. On stage, Jackson Reed, the undisputed king of modern alternative rock, stands with his arms wide open, soaking in the adoration. To the world, he is a savior, a man who uses his massive fortune to build schools in war zones, who speaks at the UN about peace, who wears his heart on his tattered designer sleeve. But high above the crowd, in a sealed luxury box with tinted glass, 3 men are not watching the concert. They are watching the data stream on a secure laptop. Before we descend into the shadow world where fame is a mask for terror, take a second to subscribe to the channel. We are exposing the operations the world isn't supposed to know about. Hit the notification bell, because the next file we open might be even more classified than this one. To the public, Jackson Reed is a paradox, the bad boy with the golden soul. To the analysts at the Institute, Mossad, sitting in a windowless room in Tel Aviv, he is something else entirely. He is a conduit, a pipeline. The investigation didn't start with a bang or a body. It started with an algorithm. Unit 8200, Israel's elite cyber intelligence unit, had been tracking financial anomalies in the dark web. They weren't looking for a rock star. They were tracking the movement of funds linked to the Quds Force, the external operations wing of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. They were looking for the money that buys the components for precision-guided missiles. They found a ghost transaction, a transfer of $4 million routed through a charity shell company in Malta, bouncing to a bank in Beirut, and finally vanishing into a maze of accounts in Dubai. The origin of the funds? A royalty payment management firm in London. The primary client? Jackson Reed. It doesn't make sense, the analyst had said, staring at the screen. Why is a British rock star sending $4 million to a logistics company known for shipping heavy machinery to southern Lebanon? That question kicked off Operation Discordant Note. The file landed on the desk of Eitan, a veteran case officer in the Caesarea unit. Eitan was a man who listened to classical music and despised celebrity culture. To him, fame was just another form of camouflage. The brighter the spotlight, the darker the shadows it cast. Eitan knew that direct surveillance on a target like Reed would be a nightmare. The man lived in a fortress of paparazzi, security guards, and sycophants. You couldn't just tap his phone. He had 10 of them, and he changed them weekly. You couldn't tail him. He moved in motorcades. They needed a way inside. They needed to know if Reed was a useful idiot, a naive celebrity being manipulated by bad actors, or if he was a willing participant in the financing of terror. The answer would determine whether Reed would finish his world tour, or if his career, and perhaps his freedom, would be abruptly canceled by the agency. The initial intelligence assessment revealed a sophisticated operation. Reed's humanitarian organization, Voice for the Voiceless, had exclusive access to conflict zones in Syria and Lebanon. They had diplomatic clearance to fly private cargo planes into areas where commercial traffic was banned. The manifest always listed medical supplies, blankets, and educational materials. But Eitan's team suspected the cargo planes were returning with something else, or perhaps the money generated from Reed's massive concerts wasn't just staying in the banking system. It was being washed. The mechanics of money laundering are usually boring. It's about layering, mixing dirty money with clean money until the origin is untraceable. But Reed's method was artistic. He was using the chaotic, cash-heavy ecosystem of a global rock tour to sanitize funds for Tehran, merchandise sales, cash tickets in developing nations, VIP experiences. Millions of dollars in cash moved through the tour every week. If a handler inserted $2 million of Iranian oil money into the tour's cash flow in Istanbul, and the tour paid it out as production costs to a shell company in Cyprus, the money came out clean on the other side. But proving it required a human asset. Eitan summoned a young operative named Noah. She wasn't your typical field agent. She had spent her youth in the underground electronic music scenes of Tel Aviv and Berlin before joining the service. She understood the ego, the noise, and the technical language of the industry. "We need you to join the circus," Eitan told her, sliding a dossier across the metal table. Jackson Reed is looking for a new monitor engineer. His previous one had a sudden visa issue and was detained in Tokyo. Aitan didn't smile, but Noah knew the visa issue wasn't an accident. Mossad had cleared the board to make a space for her. "I'm a sound engineer now?" Noah asked, flipping through the pages. "You've been trained. You know the boards. You know the frequencies. But more importantly, you know how to be invisible in a room full of narcissists," Aitan replied. "Reed is moving money for the Iranians. We believe he's meeting a courier in Vienna next week. We need eyes in the room." The objective was not just to catch Reed. It was to identify the Iranian network using him. Reed was the whale, but Aitan wanted the ocean. Noah spent the next 72 hours in a crash course on the specific audio consoles Reed's tour used. She memorized the set list, the crew nicknames, the dynamics of the band. She adopted the persona of Chloe, a freelance tech from Manchester with a reputation for fixing problems and keeping her mouth shut. The interview took place in a hangar in Prague. The tour manager, a frantic man named Lars, barely looked at her resume. He just pointed to the massive mixing desk. "The in-ear monitors are cutting out on the high end. Fix it." Noah sat at the desk. She didn't panic. She traced the signal flow, found a frequency clash in the wireless receiver, and rerouted the channel. The static cleared. "You're hired," Lars grunted. "Bus leaves in 2 hours. Don't talk to Jackson unless he talks to you. Don't look at his girlfriend, and no phones backstage." Noah was in. But being on the bus was one thing. Getting close enough to see the financial transaction was another. She was entering a world of paranoia, where everyone was watching everyone, and the man at the center of it all was hiding a secret that could shatter the geopolitical balance of the Middle East. The tour moved like a conquering army. 5 buses, 12 semi-trucks, and a private jet for the talent. They crossed from Prague to Vienna, a city with a long history of espionage. It was the perfect neutral ground for a handover. Noah, now Chloe, worked 18-hour days. She hauled cables, tuned frequencies, and blended into the background. She wore black, kept her head down, and did her job with clinical precision. This was the tradecraft of the modern age. Competence is the best disguise. If you are useful, people stop wondering who you are. She quickly identified the inner circle. There was Lars, the manager, who was stressed about money but seemed genuinely oblivious to the laundering. There was the bassist, who was perpetually intoxicated. And then there was Sia, Reed's girlfriend. Sia was a striking woman, a conceptual artist from a wealthy Lebanese family. She was elegant, sharp, and fiercely protective of Jackson. Intelligence files suggested her family had ties to political factions in Beirut, but nothing definitive. However, Noah noticed something on the second day. Sia didn't act like a girlfriend. She acted like a handler. She managed Reed's schedule. She filtered his calls. When Reed was interviewed by journalists, she stood just out of frame, watching his lips, her eyes scanning the room. In Vienna, the tour set up at the Stadthalle. The cavernous arena echoed with the sound check. Jackson Reed stood center stage, struggling with a new song. He was charismatic, undeniably. But Noah saw the cracks. He was jittery. He kept checking his watch. "Chloe, the mix is off!" he shouted into the microphone. Noah ran onto the stage, adjusting his body pack. For a moment, she was inches from him. She smelled expensive cologne and stale fear. "It's the wireless interference from the local radio towers," she lied smoothly, adjusting a setting that did nothing. "I've locked it in now." Jackson looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time. "You're new." "I'm efficient," she replied, keeping her voice flat. He smirked. "Good. Stay close. We have a private event after the show. I need the sound to be perfect." This was the opening. A private event. That wasn't on the official itinerary. Noah reported back to Aitan using a burst transmission from a modified enchanting device disguised as a guitar tuner. Target moving off-book tonight. Private location. Saya coordinating, requesting surveillance support. Aitan's reply was instantaneous. "Team is in position. Do not compromise cover. We need to see the exchange." The private event turned out to be a dinner at a secluded villa in the Viennese hills, rented under a shell company. Noah was brought along to set up a small acoustic system. The guest list was small. High society types, art dealers, and a few men in suits who didn't look like music fans. One man stood out. He was older, distinguished, speaking German with a slight accent. The facial recognition software in Noah's hidden camera, embedded in her lanyard, flagged him immediately. Dr. Braun, a known facilitator for Iranian interests in Europe. A man who moved money for the regime under the guise of cultural exchange programs. Noah adjusted the microphone stand, her heart rate steady thanks to years of training. She was witnessing the nexus. The rock star, the artist girlfriend, and the financier for Tehran. They were all in the same room, sipping champagne, while the equipment cases in the hallway were being loaded not with instruments, but with something else. The atmosphere in the villa was suffocatingly opulent. While Jackson played an acoustic set for the small gathering, Noah retreated to the mixing console she had set up in the corner. She wasn't just mixing audio, she was recording everything. The ambient microphones she had placed around the room were high gain, capable of picking up conversations across the hall. Through her headphones, she isolated the voices. "The logistics are becoming difficult, Jackson," Dr. Braun was saying, his voice low, cutting through the applause of the other guests. "The customs in Rotterdam are tightening their scans." "That's not my problem," Jackson replied, his stage persona gone. He sounded petulant, trapped. "I was told the diplomatic pouches covered the humanitarian flights." "They do," Sia interjected, her voice steel. "But the return flights are the issue. The cash reserves from the last leg of the tour need to be moved to the Beirut accounts by Friday. The orphanage project is waiting for the funding." Orphanage was obviously code. Noah adjusted a fader, boosting the gain on the conversation. "The equipment crates," Braun suggested. "The tour heads to Istanbul next. We can make the swap there. But the manifest needs to look legitimate." "I can't risk another audit," Jackson hissed. "You risk much more if you stop now," Braun said, his tone turning icy. "Our friends in Tehran have invested heavily in your career, Mr. Reed. They expect a return on that investment." The leverage was clear. Reed wasn't just a sympathizer. He was owned. Likely compromised years ago, perhaps through debt or a manufactured scandal, and now he was working off a debt that could never be paid. Noah felt a chill. They weren't just moving money, they were moving something in the equipment crates. Return flights imply physical goods. Were they smuggling technology out of Europe? Dual-use components for the Iranian missile program, hidden inside amplifiers and speaker cabinets? She needed to get into the equipment truck. The party wound down around 2 a.m. As the crew began to pack up the gear, Noah saw her chance. The special cases, road cases marked with blue tape, were being separated from the rest of the production gear. "I'll take those to the transport," Noah told the local stagehand, grabbing the handle of a heavy flight case marked Vintage Synthesizers. "No, no," Sia appeared out of nowhere, her hand resting firmly on the case. "These go in the private transport. Lars handles these." Noah looked at Sia. The woman's eyes were cold, calculating. She suspected everyone. "Just trying to help load out," Noah said, shrugging. "Union rules say we wrap by 3. "Go wait in the van, Chloe," Sia commanded. Noah walked away, her mind racing. She had confirmed the connection. She had identified the key players. But she had been blocked from the physical evidence. She needed to know what was in those blue-taped cases before they crossed the border into Turkey. Back in her hotel room, she secured the room, checking for bugs. She pulled out her laptop and connected to the secure server. She uploaded the audio recording of the conversation. Aitan's voice came through her earpiece minutes later. "We have the audio. It's enough for a dossier, but not for an interdiction. If we seize the crates and find only cash, he claims it's tax evasion. He pays a fine, writes a sad song about government persecution, and the network adapts. We need to find the contraband." "They are moving the blue cases to Istanbul," Noah reported. "Land transport. They crossed through the Balkans." "We can't stop the truck," Aitan said. "Too messy. We need you to tag it. We need to track where those cases go once they hit Turkey. Who picks them up? That's the target." "I can't get close enough to place a beacon," Noah said. "Sia watches those cases like they're her children." "Then you need a distraction," Aitan said. "We're sending you a package. It will be at the next venue in Budapest. A replacement piece of audio gear. Inside, you'll find what you need. Budapest. The rain lashed against the windows of the tour bus. The mood was tense. The argument at the villa had rattled Jackson. He was snapping at the crew, drinking more than usual. The pressure of living a double life was fracturing his composure. Noah received the package at the venue. It was a standard reverb unit, but inside the chassis was a high-tech tracking device, a molecular beacon sprayer. It looked like a can of contact cleaner used for electronics. When sprayed, it left an invisible radioactive isotope signature that could be tracked by satellite for 48 hours. She didn't need to open the cases. She just needed to spray the handles and the latches. The isotope would transfer to anyone who touched them, and the signal would beam their location once they separated from the main tour. But getting to the blue cases was still the problem. They were kept in a locked cage backstage, guarded by private security hired by Sia. Noah needed chaos. During the show, in the middle of the set, Noah executed a command on the mixing console. She bypassed the safety limiters on the main PA system and fed a burst of low-frequency feedback into the subwoofers. The sound was a catastrophic boom. It sounded like an explosion. The music cut out. The crowd gasped. Security panicked, thinking it was an attack. In the confusion, the private guards by the cage left their post to rush toward the stage. Noah moved. She slipped into the secure area, pulling the contact cleaner from her tool belt. She found the blue taped cases stacked in the corner. She sprayed the handles, the corners, the wheels. She worked with the speed of a magician. "Hey, what are you doing?" Noah spun around. It was Lars, the tour manager. He looked terrified, sweating profusely. "Checking the power distro," Noah shouted over the confusion. "That feedback surge might have blown the breakers back here. I don't want the amps to catch fire." Lars looked at the cases, then at Noah. He didn't know about the smuggling, Noah realized. He just knew his tour was falling apart. "Just fix it," he screamed. "Fix it or we're all fired." He ran off toward the stage. Noah pocketed the can and exhaled. She had tagged the shipment. Now the Institute could watch. The concert resumed after 10 minutes. Jackson played it off as a technical gremlin, charming the crowd, but Noah saw his hands shaking. After the show, the blue cases were loaded onto a separate unmarked truck. Noah watched from the bus window as the truck pulled away into the Hungarian night, heading south. Back in Tel Aviv, a red dot appeared on the large screen in the operations room. The beacon was active. "Target is mobile," Eitan announced to the room. "Let's see where the rabbit hole goes." The tour moved to Istanbul, a city that bridges continents and cultures, a city where intelligence agencies from east and west rub shoulders in the Grand Bazaar. The tracking signal from the blue cases didn't go to the concert venue. Instead, it deviated from the convoy at the border and headed toward a warehouse district on the Asian side of the Bosphorus. Mossad had a local surveillance team, keyed on, ready on the ground. They trailed the truck from a safe distance. The truck pulled into a shipping depot owned by a company called Anatolia Logistics. The depot was heavily guarded. "They're not unloading," the surveillance team leader reported. "They're switching vehicles. The cases are being moved into a van with diplomatic plates." "Identify the country," Eitan ordered. "Iranian consulate," the reply came back. This was the smoking gun, the direct link. The Rockstar's equipment was being handed directly to Iranian state officials. But then something unexpected happened. The van didn't go to the consulate. It drove to a private airfield outside the city. A small cargo plane was waiting on the tarmac. The tail number belonged to a charter company sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury for serving the IRGC. Eitan watched the feed. "They're flying it out. Destination? Flight plan filed for Damascus," the analyst said. "We can't intercept a diplomatic vehicle in Turkey." "It's a diplomatic incident waiting to happen," Eitan said, rubbing his temples. "We missed the seizure. But we have the proof," the analyst argued. "Proof isn't enough," Eitan said. "We need to shut down the network. If we expose Reed now, the Iranians just find another celebrity, another charity. We need to break the cycle." Eitan opened a secure line to Noah in Istanbul. "The shipment is gone," he told her. "But we know where the money is coming from. Reed is meeting Dr. Braun again tomorrow in Istanbul. We need to record the payment instructions. We need to bankrupt this operation. Noah was exhausted. The stress of the double life was wearing her down. Sia is suspicious, she whispered into her encrypted phone. She asked me about my background in Manchester. She checked my references. The cover stops hold up, but only just. If she digs deeper, she'll find the gaps. You have 24 hours, Eitan said. Get us the bank codes for the transfer, then we pull you out. How? Noah asked. They don't leave paper trails. Reed uses a digital ledger, Eitan said. A secured tablet he keeps with him. He authorizes the transfers personally. It's his insurance policy, so they don't kill him. He controls the money. He keeps that tablet in his hotel safe, Noah said. Then you need to get into his room, Eitan said. That's suicide, Noah said. He has guards on the floor. Create a reason, Eitan said. You're the sound engineer. Tell him you need to do a room acoustics check for a vocal warm-up. He's paranoid about his voice. Use his ego against him. The presidential suite at the Saragan Palace Kempinski Hotel overlooks the Bosphorus. It is a fortress of luxury. Noah stood at the door, holding a measurement microphone and a laptop. She knocked. A bodyguard opened the door. What? Jackson asked for a room resonance check, Noah said, projecting boredom. He said the room is too boomy for his warm-ups. I need to run a pink noise sweep. The guard hesitated, then spoke into his wrist mic. A moment later, Sia opened the door. She wore a silk robe, her eyes sharp. He didn't mention this to me, Sia said. He told me it's soundcheck, Noah lied. Look, I can come back later, but he said he wanted it done before he wakes up fully. I don't want to get yelled at again. Sia stared at her, assessing. 5 minutes. Keep the noise down. She stepped aside. Noah entered. Jackson was on the balcony smoking, looking out at the water. He didn't turn around. Noah set up her laptop on the coffee table. The safe was in the bedroom closet. She could see the closet door was ajar. I'm going to run a frequency sweep, Noah called out. It'll be a soft hiss. She started the pink noise generator. Shh. The sound filled the room, masking small noises. Noah moved toward the bedroom. Just checking the reflection points in here, she muttered to the guard, who stayed in the living room. She slipped into the bedroom. The safe was closed. She didn't have the code, but she had something else. Mossad Technical Division had given her a UV thermal scanner app on her phone. If someone had touched the keypad recently, the heat signature of the fingerprints would still be visible. She pointed the phone at the keypad. 4 buttons glowed faintly in the spectrum. 1, 9, 8, 4, 1984. The year he was born, or the Orwell book, probably the birth year. She tried the combination. 1, 9, 8, 4, enter. Error. She froze. The heat signatures were fading. She looked closer. The 4 was slightly cooler. It was pressed first? No, last. She tried 9841. Click. The safe opened. Inside lay a stack of cash, a passport, and the black tablet. She didn't take the tablet. That would trigger an alarm. She pulled out a cloner, a USB drive that could copy the hard drive of a device wirelessly if placed in direct physical contact for 30 seconds. She placed the drive on the tablet. The LED on the drive blinked rapidly. 10 seconds. Chloe, Sia's voice came from the living room. What are you doing in there? Corner-based trapping check, Noah shouted back. Just a second. 20 seconds. Footsteps. 30 seconds. Green light. Noah grabbed the drive, shut the safe, and spun around just as Sia walked into the bedroom. Noah was holding the measurement mic up to the ceiling. Yeah, there's a standing wave right here, she said, looking at her phone screen, now switched back to the audio app. If he sings a low G, it's going to boom. Sia looked at the safe, then at Noah. You're done. Just finished, Noah said, heart hammering against her ribs. I'll adjust the EQ on his monitor mix to compensate. She walked past Sia, smelling the distinct scent of suspicion. She had the data, she had the ledger. She exited the suite, nodded to the guard, and walked to the elevator. As the doors closed, her knees nearly buckled. Back in Tel Aviv, the analysts cracked the encrypted data from the tablet within an hour. It was a gold mine. It wasn't just money. The ledger contained detailed logs of favors exchanged. Jackson Reed wasn't just laundering cash. His tour was a mobile intelligence platform. The tablet contained photos of airport tarmacs in restricted areas, names of dissidents Reed had met with under the guise of charity, and, most damningly, a communication log with a high-ranking officer in the Iranian Ministry of Intelligence. The equipment in the blue cases? High-grade centrifuge components purchased on the black market in Europe, smuggled into Turkey using the tour's customs immunity, and then flown to Syria. Reed was helping build a nuclear program. "This changes the rules of engagement," the director of Mossad said, looking at the file. "He is an enemy combatant. He is a British citizen and a global icon," Eitan countered. "We cannot touch him physically. The backlash would be uncontrollable. Then we destroy him," the director said. "We dismantle the legend. We turn the money off, and we let his friends in Tehran know he failed them." "If we burn him," Eitan said, "the Iranians will kill him to silence him. That is a risk he took when he signed the deal," the director replied coldly. Eitan looked at the screen. He saw a way out, a way to use Reed one last time. "No," Eitan said. "We don't burn him yet. We turn him." The plan was risky. It required confronting Reed alone, separating him from Sia and his security. The tour moved to Tel Aviv for the final show of the leg. This was the mistake the Iranians made. They assumed Reed's celebrity made him untouchable even in Israel. They assumed Mossad wouldn't dare approach him on home soil for fear of a diplomatic incident. They were wrong. The concert was at Hayarkhan Park. 50,000 people. Noah was at the mixing desk. The show was going well, but backstage, Mossad agents disguised as local catering staff had isolated the dressing room corridor. During the encore break, Jackson ran backstage to change his shirt. He entered his private dressing room. Eitan was sitting on the couch, holding the black tablet, which Reed thought was in his hotel safe. Jackson froze. "Who are you? Get out." "Sit down, Jackson," Eitan said in perfect English. "We need to talk about the blue cases and the centrifuges and the $4 million in the Beirut account." Jackson's face went pale. He looked at the door. "Your guards are sleeping," Eitan said calmly. "And Sia? She's currently being detained at the airport. We found traces of explosives residue on her luggage. A fabrication, of course, but enough to hold her for 48 hours. "What do you want?" Jackson whispered, collapsing into a chair. "They'll kill me. If I stop, they'll kill me." "We know," Eitan said. "Dr. Braun doesn't accept resignations. But here's the reality, Jackson. You are done. We have the evidence. We can release it to the world tomorrow. You will go from being a saint to a pariah. You will rot in a prison cell for treason and arms trafficking. Or what? Or you help us close the loop," Eitan said. "You are meeting Braun in Cyprus next week for the final payoff. We want you to wear a wire. We want you to get him to admit who his superiors are in Tehran. We want the names of the network." "I can't," Jackson sobbed. "I'm just a singer." "You stopped being just a singer when you smuggled missile parts," Eitan said sharply. "You have a choice, redemption or destruction. Decide, now. You have 2 minutes before you have to go back on stage to sing 'Heal the World' or whatever it is you sing." Jackson looked at his hands. He looked at the mirror. He saw the fraud staring back. "I'll do it," he whispered. Eitan stood up. He placed the tablet on the table. "Good show tonight. The mix is excellent." Eitan vanished out the back exit. Jackson stared at the wall. The roar of the crowd outside screaming his name sounded like a judgment. He wiped his face, put on his stage smile, and walked out to the lights. Cyprus, a villa overlooking the sea. The location for the final meeting. Jackson Reed arrived alone. Noah was in a van 2 miles away, monitoring the audio feed from the button on Jackson's jacket. A Mossad tactical team, keyed on, was submerged in the water below the cliffs and positioned in the scrubland surrounding the property. Dr. Braun was there. He was relaxed, pouring wine. "A successful tour, Jackson," Braun said. "Our friends are very pleased with the delivery in Istanbul." "I'm out," Jackson said, his voice shaking slightly. "This is the last time. "We have discussed this," Braun said, his voice hardening. "There is no out. You are vital to the operation."
"We have plans for the South American tour. The networks there need funding." I said no. Jackson pushed, following Aitan's script. "Who is pushing this? Is it General Soleimani? Is it the ministry? I want to know who owns me." Braun laughed. "You are owned by the cause, Jackson. But if you need a name, it is..." Braun stopped. He looked at Jackson. He looked at the button on his jacket. It was a standard button, but Braun was a professional. He noticed the slight difference in the thread tension.
Braun pulled a pistol from his waistband. "You brought guests," Braun snarled. "Take him," Aitan ordered over the comms. The windows of the villa shattered as the Kaidan team breached. Flashbangs detonated. Braun grabbed Jackson as a human shield, firing blindly at the smoke. Jackson screamed, diving to the floor. A single shot rang out from a sniper positioned on the ridge. Braun's hand exploded. The gun dropped. The team swarmed the room. Braun was pinned to the ground. Jackson was dragged to safety, hyperventilating. It was over in 30 seconds. The aftermath was managed with the silence typical of the Institute. There were no headlines about a foiled terror plot. No news reports about a shootout in Cyprus. Dr. Braun disappeared. He was taken to a black site for interrogation, where he revealed the entire infrastructure of the Iranian money laundering ring in Europe. Based on his intel, accounts were frozen, shell companies were dissolved, and diplomats were quietly expelled from 5 different countries. Sia was released from Tel Aviv airport and deported to Lebanon. She knew the game was up. She never spoke to Jackson again. And Jackson Reed? He announced a sudden hiatus from music. Exhaustion, the press release said. He canceled his South American tour. He retreated to a private island in the Caribbean. To the world, he was just another burned-out rock star taking a break. But Noah knew the truth. She sat in a cafe in Tel Aviv, watching the news on her phone. A report on Reed's breakdown. Aitan sat down opposite her. He ordered a coffee. "He's safe," Aitan said. "We have him under protective surveillance. The Iranians know he turned, but they can't touch him without exposing their own failures. He is in purgatory." "He helped them build weapons," Noah said. "He gets to retire to an island." "He provided the intelligence that dismantled a network moving $50 million a year to Hamas and Hezbollah," Aitan said. "It's a trade. Justice is rarely black and white, Noah. It's gray." "And the money?" Noah asked. "The millions he laundered?" "Frozen. Diverted. It will never buy a single bullet." Months later, Noah was back in the underground clubs of Berlin, listening to techno. She was no longer Chloe the sound tech. She was just Noah. A track came on the speakers. It was a remix of one of Jackson Reed's old songs, "Lies We Tell to Save Our Souls." She closed her eyes. She thought about the blue cases in the truck, the smell of fear in the dressing room, the silence of the safe opening. The world saw the stage, the lights, the glamour. They didn't see the wires running underneath, carrying the current that could burn it all down. Mossad had won this round. They had uncovered the rock star, stopped the flow, and neutralized the threat. But the music never really stops. The enemy just changes the tune. Somewhere else, right now, another deal was being made. Another courier was being recruited. Another shipment was being planned. Noah finished her drink. Her phone buzzed. A message from Aitan. "New playlist. Come in." She stood up and walked out into the cold Berlin night. The concert was over, but the work is forever.